The US isn't dying, but you may want to move out anyway, and it's not for the reasons you may think. Hello and welcome back to Traveling Reports. Today I wanted to give kind of a contrarian view of the United States from what most globalization channels are saying. Well, I think that the United States has many new issues that are flaring up as of recent. I do not believe dollar hegemony is over. I do not believe a BRICS is somehow going to suddenly magically make the US disappear. I don't believe that this would even be beneficial to global positioning. I think that the United States often gets an unfair view of itself from even within the United States. I am presently here in Romania, which is one of the most pro-United States countries in Europe. And Romanians really won't say that the United States is someplace that they perceive as bad or poor or immoral. Even going to Turkey, right? Which Turkey has a very low percentage of pro-US sentiment. They consider the United States to be not necessarily lacking in any reasonable way, and especially not economically. The number one critic of the United States is American citizens. And I'm here to say that's fair. I'm also here to say your fearmongering is not helping the situation. In fact, in a sense, it is giving the United States more fuel. And if you truly are looking at diversity and diversification, we should be realistic about where the United States is heading, what the United States is going to do in the future, and how that will play out. So, I will dive into exactly why I say what I'm saying now, and I'll break it down as I did just a few moments ago. So, the first thing is what is going on in the United States truly. What is the real thing? And I will say that dollar dominance is better than it was in 2008. The Great Recession in 2008, the housing crisis, really was much more detrimental to the US dollar reserves than even Trump's presidency with massive tariffs. Now, is this to say that tariffs have not hurt the dollar? They absolutely have. The DXY dollar index is putting the dollar at 97, I believe, right now, to which even 5 months ago it was at 110. A lot of economists will tell you that yes, the dollar wasn't overvalued, because 100 is the value point that you want to be at, roughly 100. But it goes from about 90 to 120. Historically, maybe 85 in some crazy circumstances. So we're perfectly above that. We're at 95. Okay, great. So I say we because I'm an American citizen still. So technically, I'm still American. Anyway, so the United States, if they are in this position, is not inherently losing a ton by devaluing currency and debasing the currency. This is something that happened in 70s and 80s, where the dollar was extremely high and then it was debased. And the Bretton Woods system has allowed us to essentially debase or value the dollar based on whatever we want. And of course, this does make the EU and Europe more expensive for American citizens, and it does make it more expensive to globalize your lifestyle. However, that's not the end of the world. And especially if you earn in multiple currencies, forget about it. The second thing that we should know is what is the US's main goals? How are they dealing with their main goals? And I think if you look historically, the US's main goals has not been democracy. Of course, that is the headline, that is what people think, what people say, democracy, 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 but that's an easy excuse and easy oversimplification. What the United States is interested in is protecting trade. And with protecting trade, they also want to protect dollar hegemony, not necessarily because they're like, oh, we should dominate the dollar because we need to dominate trade. No, I mean, to some extent, yes, but for the most part, that's not true. They want smooth trade throughout the world. And if you look at all of the wars we've gotten into, Yemen, Iraq, Afghanistan, places like Libya, places like Venezuela, Cuba, these have all been detrimental to trade routes, or they have tried to de-dollarize. So this has been an extremely hot button issue for the United States for centuries, right? And of course, the ideals are not inherently the best, but they have indeed worked, and they continue to work. In fact, the global shipping routes have been very protected, even under Trump. And so, what the US will continue to do, and I think what we've seen, is that they will continue to protect trade routes. But I think that the way they are protecting trade routes has shifted. The way they protect trade routes now is through proxies and through essentially short-run bombing campaigns, short-run destabilizing campaigns, and then just leaving. No more forever wars. And I think that the United States, honestly, is fairly smart for this. And then realistically looking into the future, looking into how people will react to the United States, I think it's very clear to the rest of the world, and especially me living here now in Europe. People know that the United States is insulating. People know that the US was bankrolling them. They didn't a few months ago. I'll be honest, Europeans did not realize the US was bankrolling them until the conflict in Ukraine. And so, while I disagree with the way that things were cut off, I think that realistically going forward, we will see a lot more insulation from the United States. I think we'll see a lot more protectionism from the United States. And as that comes to fruition, I believe the US will be an increasingly interesting place to look at in the world, and their position will be very interesting to see. Now, of course, if you are looking for ways to diversify outside of the United States or protect your assets in the United States, feel free to book a call on the Calendly link down below. 15 minutes one-on-one, absolutely free. And if you're looking for a way to support this channel, feel free to subscribe. If you are really liking this content, you can feel free to share. If you liked the video, feel free to toss a like on it. This has been the Traveling Report, signing off.